So I was scrolling through Instagram the other day on my lunch break and I came across a post which piqued my interest. And it was from Sweden's new ambassador to Albania, Niklas Strom. Did I say it correctly?
Yes, that was correct.
That was better? Okay, great. I have been practicing. And the post was of public transport, actually a bus in Tirana, and the ambassador saying that he was taking the bus to go to work. And I'm used to seeing ambassadors move around Tirana in sort of carcades and big fancy cars with flashing lights. So it was very refreshing for me to see a more down-to-earth approach to mobility. And I wanted to invite the ambassador to the studio to discuss mobility, but also his general impressions of Albania. Welcome to Inside Albania.
Thank you, Alice. I'm very happy to be here. Yeah.
Now, let's start with the social media post. So do you really take the bus to work?
I do sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
And my intention with that post was actually not to show that I'm going by bus. That's one thing that surprised me a little bit, that it was interesting also for my followers. Of course, I put it out because it was interesting that it was an empty bus, and it was 7:30 in the morning. I thought that was not so common. It's not common in Sweden, and as I have understood also from the comments I received after that post, it's not common here either.
I think it sometimes they're really overpacked and sometimes they are a bit more empty. But I would imagine that at that time was there traffic on the roads elsewhere?
Yes.
But
it was relatively early. So
people like to take their cars more than... Now, I use the bus. I use the bus or I walk. I use it very frequently, which, again, I think is something a bit unusual. Maybe people were quite surprised when I sort of get on the bus. But you mentioned when we spoke offline as well that you had some other ways of getting around which were maybe a bit interesting.
Yes, I mean I like public transports, that's definitely, and in Sweden I use them all the time. I take the tram and then the subway when I go to work normally. But if I have the time, my preferred option to transport myself is by foot.
Yes.
It's a nice. I like it. So, but it takes more time, and sometimes it's not a good. The route you're going is maybe not the best for walking. So my second is taking the bicycle, and then it's public transport.
Have you moved with the bicycle in Tirana so far?
Not yet.
No.
Actually, I haven't. I have my bike here. I haven't used it yet. Also because I'm learning a lot of things about Albania right now. I have to learn also the traffic, how you behave in traffic.
How you behave in traffic.
And how you don't behave, and how you, the roads, to choose the right roads.
As someone who's cycled in Tirana quite a lot and walks in Tirana quite a lot, I'd say the general rule is pray. If that's your thing, and sort of hope for the best. It can be quite hairy, but it is getting better. We have cycle lanes throughout much of the city now, which make things a lot easier. The buses are more on time as well, and I find it quite easy to get around. But when I travel to places like Brussels, and I see, they have trams and underground ride sharing companies, scooters. Okay, I don't particularly like the electric scooters so much because I've nearly been run over.
They can be dangerous.
Yes, yeah. This is quite a problem. But walking definitely is my preferred, especially a place like Tirana. It's interesting, it's beautiful, it's quite flat.
And it's a nice way, especially when you're new in a town, to walk. Even with the bicycle, but walk, you see things, you hear things, you discover the neighborhood that you work or live in. So
yes,
I really see that.
It's quite funny when I do get a taxi and I sort of explain to the driver, no, don't go that way, go this road, it's quicker, and he's like, but you're foreign, how do you know? I was like, because normally I walk everywhere, and you do learn, all the secret places and things. So I wish you good luck exploring Tirana on foot and on your bicycle, but don't forget your helmet.
When I walk?
When you walk, maybe a bit extreme unless there's construction work, but on the bicycle, definitely.
Of course.
Moving on from this, I wanted to ask you, how did you end up here? Obviously, you're the ambassador, but where were you posted before? And what was your reaction when they said you're off to Tirana? And what do you think of it now?
Yes. Well, I was in Stockholm before. Actually, 9 years. I worked at the Foreign Ministry, heading the minister's office that we have in the Foreign Ministry. And when I got to know that I had been chosen to this position, I was happy. I immediately started to talk to people who had been here and who had visited or worked here. I got a very positive but general image of Albania. It's a country that has developed a lot the last years. I had an experience from Albania, but only from minister to minister contacts that we have had quite a lot from the foreign minister and with the Albanian government. They were very positive as well, really good relations. But it was kind of a superficial image that I had. I've also heard a lot from friends and others. Actually, a lot of Swedes travel to Albania right now as tourists. And at least all I have talked to, they come home with a fantastic experience. So that of course made it even more interesting to go here. And I also knew about the very determined, how determined the politicians are here, and the government, and as I understand it, also the people are to get into the EU and to try to reform as much as possible to be able to do that. So that I knew, and then I came here.
And you touched down in Tirana for the first time.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Well, first I thought it's more or less what I've been told, and it was actually the first. I was here in July, but August I started, and that was before I had not been here before. It's a very welcoming country. I've heard about the traffic. I've been told was terrible. I would say not too bad. I mean, if you compare, I've been to other places in the world where the traffic is really horrible. People are friendly, but not too pushy. Mm-hmm. That's something I appreciate a lot. And the food was, as I'd also been told, the food is good, high quality, also in cheaper restaurants, and of course the Albanian traditional food I had not tasted before. The Italian, Greek, those things but that's also a new discovery for me, the traditional food.
And have you, I mean, you've only been here a short time. You said July was the first time you came here. Have you had chance to travel around either sort of personally or in your work to other parts of Albania? And if so,
a little bit. I have my intention, my objective is to see all parts of Albania during my work here. Both as an ambassador, but also as a private person. I want to see all parts. I have traveled a few times, but it's been a busy first month here. I've been to the sea. I've been to Linn in Okra Lake, and I've also been in Gramsh to visit a project that we have there. The Swedish embassy has there to help farmers. Yes,
I recommend Shkodra
and
Leisure, Shëngjin, these sorts of areas here. I mean, you have everything. You have beautiful coastline, mountains, history, food. The people are extra friendly there. Maybe I'm slightly biased as it's my favorite
I will
region.
go there, and I will go to the places where people don't recommend me necessarily as a tourist to go, because I want to learn. I want to see the poor parts of Albania as well, and where the roads are not the best, and but definitely the coast and the south and Shkodra are on my list, definitely.
And Valbona, Tropoja as well. This you can see. I mean, there's the touristic side of things, but you can also see how people live in a very off-grid sort of way there as well. Because I mean, in the winter, it's essentially cut off from the rest of the country. This is somewhere that I recommend as well. Now, your predecessor Elsa was also a guest on the show. I think it was the second episode I ever did. Did you two speak before you came here? Did she give you any tips, advice, or sort of watch out for this?
No, of course. I was here to visit her and to learn about the embassy that I'm heading now. Elsa's fantastic diplomat, fantastic colleague. She, I think, tried to hand over as much as possible of the knowledge she has of Albania. Concrete tips, I think some, but they are kind of evident that reach out to people, try to get to know people, see all parts of the country. Also make sure that the embassy is active in the whole of the country, and that's entirely in line with what I want to do. We're not just a Tirana-based embassy, and we have projects already, so we'll continue with that and visits outside. That's important. And then, of course, Elsa is a fantastic ambassador, but I'm another ambassador, hopefully fantastic as well, but in another way. And we are all. You have to develop your position according to your personality.
Well.
Yeah.
So I guess that leads into my next question. Like, I'm not comparing at all, but just transitioning. Like, Elsa was very much into sustainability, and she posted a lot about like local fashion and things and food. I know she had a garden at the embassy where she was growing. What are you going to be known for at the end of your mandate? How are people going to remember you? What's your vision?
First of all, sustainability will be continued definitely, and the garden is there at the residence, and it will. I will continue with that. I think that's a really nice project that she started. And it's actually also the food that the guests in the residence receive. Or, I mean, we cannot produce all the food that is needed, but it's there. Sustainability is an important priority, political priority also for Sweden, and both in our general policy, but in particular in the development cooperation that we have in Albania and in other countries. So, and it's also an area where our Swedish companies are very competitive in technology, in processes that have to do with improved energy efficiency or renewable energy or things like that. So that's definitely kind of a cross-cutting theme into almost everything we do. And I will not change the big direction of what we do here. I think we are doing a very good job. If I can leave something behind that even more than what we're doing today, it would be on the economic relations. I mean, we have excellent political relations. We have people-to-people relations. We are like-minded with Albania in many in many questions, and we work a lot with them to partner into the EU integration. But our companies are not dealing with each other.
Yes.
And well, some are. There are a few.
I'd heard that the amount of trade between the two countries is quite low at the moment.
It's very low, and I think it's one of the few countries that Sweden has a trade deficit with. But it's also a country where there are not so many Swedish companies who have invested, which is also not so common. So, and I think there are opportunities here. I think there are opportunities in both directions, exports from Albania to Sweden. And I think there is potential for investments here from Swedish companies. But I'm new. I still have a superficial analysis of Albania and the economy. So we need to do our homework to see if it's something where we should encourage more Swedish companies to come here.
And
but anyway.
As well,
sorry?
We mentioned tourism as well.
Tourism is flourishing. I mean, in general in Albania, and Swedish tourists are also coming here in greater numbers. And we have one direct line between. Well, we actually have two, but to Stockholm we have one direct line from Tirana.
Great.
We have one to Malmö, and there will be another direct line. Ryanair is starting up a direct line to Stockholm from Tirana. So that would probably improve the possibility to be a tourist in both directions. We of course welcome Albanians to be tourists in Sweden as well.
Now, my last question for you, we mentioned before the show about the Albanian language, and you let slip that you had just come from your Albanian language lesson.
Yes.
So I want to ask you how your lessons are going, how you find it as a language to learn, you know, how you're finding it difficult? Do you see it to be a big challenge?
Yes, if I'm to learn more about Albania, I need to also be able to read at least. I need also to have at least basic conversations with people in Albania who don't speak English. or Swedish. So yeah, but I started now. I don't have the privilege to do this language course before I come to a country as an ambassador, like some countries do. But still, I've had my second lesson. It's very basic so far. We have learned the letters and
all 36 of them.
Yeah, and the
it's very
pronouns
excessive.
and things. I find it. It's the grammar is a bit difficult. And but the pronunciation is we have the same sounds in Swedish as they have here. It's not as, even though they're sometimes spelt in a way which looks a bit difficult for me, like with X and Z and Q. I mean, the pronunciation is, we have it in Swedish. So I just have to learn decode the...
Because the difficulty for me has been, I try and say a word and I think I said it correctly and they're like, no. I'm like, oh, we don't have that sound in English. My mouth cannot make that shape, you know? So you have a slight advantage there.
Yeah, maybe there, but then the grammar, I think, I don't know if I will learn it. I hope people will be able to understand if I say something with the wrong grammar.
I think they are. I speak quite well. It depends on the topic. My grammar is not good. But like you said, it's very, very difficult. But my general perception is Albanians really like it when people try. They don't care if you make mistakes. They're just happy to hear people speaking their language. So bear that in mind when you're speaking it and you'll be fine.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. And maybe the next time we do an interview, we can do a bit in Albanian.
We can probably greet each other and maybe you can ask me questions, yeah?
Okay, deal.
We'll see, deal.
Thank you very much and I wish you all the best with your time here.
Thank you.
Thanks.